Right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Arsenal continue their late title burst to try and catch up with Man City after their recent form, which has obviously knocked them off the pedestal a little bit, as they get a hard-fought 2-0 victory over Newcastle at St James's Park, a very tough ground to go to, and a very tough team to get 3 points against, and Arsenal have now finished this season unbeaten against Newcastle home and away, which not many teams, if any, are going to be able to say come the end of the season, and yet just an assured, gritty and hard-fought win for Arsenal against Newcastle today to keep them within range of Man City in this title race, like I said, after that dip in form they had, with those few results that have obviously left them off the top of the table and made them the chasers in this title race. 1 point off Man City now at the top of the table, 82 points for Man City, 81 for Arsenal, and Man City do have a game in hand as well over Brighton. I think it's away from home in between the last 2 games of the season, which is going to be a tough game, but obviously it's still massively in Man City's hands, even though City do have some tough games left to go themselves, against Brighton, like I said, against Brentford away from home on the last day of the season, and against Everton away next weekend, which, even as poor as Everton have been this season, it's still going to be a tough game at Goodison Park with the atmosphere that they have when they're in a relegation battle, which they are well and truly in, of course. But yeah, back to Arsenal's performance today. I think it wasn't the most expansively brilliant performance from Arsenal. I don't think it was the most flashy or scintillating performance from Arsenal in terms of the football they played, but I think it was really one that they really had to dig deep and win, which Mikel Arteta said before the game, that he said that Arsenal needed to just dig deep and try and win as many games as they can between now and the end of the season, and I think today's game was a perfect answer to that, given the fact that, yeah, they created a lot of chances, and obviously Nick Pope was equal to most of them for the majority of the game, but they limited Newcastle to 1 or 2 good chances, which Aaron Ramsdale himself was equal to, and made some really good saves, which kept Arsenal in the game, which he has done time and time again this season. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't the most, flashy performance from Arsenal in terms of what they did in possession, and their goals mainly came from counterattacks from Newcastle, to be fair. But like I said, going to St James's Park, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, no matter which team you are in the world, because no team is going to want to play Newcastle right now, especially at St James's Park with that atmosphere on their side. It's such a tough place to go, so they really did well to grind out a 2-0 win there with a clean sheet as well. Just quickly, in terms of Newcastle's team selection, there was one surprise for me, which was to play Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak, and I understand it in terms of the perspective of it's very difficult to drop one, especially given the fact that Callum Wilson has been prolific in recent games. He's in a bit of a purple patch in front of goal right now, and Alexander Isak obviously goes without saying he's an absolutely brilliant player. But I just think when you're playing against a team like Arsenal, for example, it might work against the lesser teams when you're obviously going to have most of the ball and you're going to have a lot of chances to score goals. When you're a team like Newcastle, who play with energy, play with directness, and are able to, break through defences with ease. But against this Arsenal team, I think it was a little bit of a waste. I think Saint-Maximin, who showed a lot of promise when he came off the bench with his trickery and with his flair and his ability to create chances from nothing and excite the fans and get the atmosphere booming again, I think he would have been a better option in that left wing position over, say, Callum Wilson or Alexander Isak, if you maybe play Isak in the number 9 position and play Saint-Maximin off the left. And then from Arsenal's perspective, I thought my man of the match was JORGINHO. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and as a Chelsea fan, I can clearly say this without being, biased, that these are the type of games that Arsenal bought JORGINHO for. I said it when Arsenal signed JORGINHO. I did a video on this channel when JORGINHO signed for Arsenal, and I said the reason why he will be a positive signing for them, especially for the fee they got him for, is games like this, when you're playing against a really tough team in a hostile ground, when you're in a title race, when you're in the pressurous situation of being in a title race where you have to win literally every single game to have any sort of chance, especially against this absolute animal of a City team that they're going up against. And I thought JORGINHO was absolutely brilliant in terms of the composure he offers you in possession, his ability to keep the ball and just almost slow the game down and take the wind out of the sails of the Newcastle players and the fans as well, because obviously with JORGINHO, when he gets on the ball, he's going to take his time on the ball, he's going to be composed and show that body language, which I think will obviously translate into the Arsenal players alongside him. And not only does he give you so much confidence in possession with his composure and obviously how good he is technically and his ability to pick a pass and keep the ball moving and keep it ticking, but also his leadership as well, which was absolutely evident every single time the Sky Sports cameras zoomed in on JORGINHO. You can see him being verbal, communicating to his players, and that's exactly what JORGINHO offers you, which I've said for time as a Chelsea fan, that's what he offered us as well, is that composure in midfield. And he really just has that ability to control a game at his fingertips, and he exactly showed that today. I thought he was the instrumental figure in this Arsenal team alongside Martin Odegaard, who I thought was absolutely exceptional once again as well. And if you look at JORGINHO's stats from today, 70 touches of the ball overall, a pass completion ratio of 83%, won 7 of his 11 ground duels as well, and was just so composed in the heart of that Arsenal midfield, and yeah, played the full 90 obviously, and I think was the main reason why Arsenal looked so composed and looked to be able to get through this game with a lot more ease than a lot of teams can do against this Newcastle team, particularly, like I said, at St James's Park as well. So I thought JORGINHO was the important cog in this Arsenal team in their performance today. I thought Martin Odegaard as well was absolutely brilliant, took his goal really well, just like a goal from absolutely nothing, from a shot outside the box. And I think that was the pivotal moment in this game, because with the way Newcastle obviously play from the get-go, their fans are going to be right behind the team, and obviously the players really buy into that energy from the fans, and they're such an energetic team themselves, Newcastle, and they're so hard to beat in that department. So getting that goal from Odegaard, I think, really flattened the Newcastle fan base for a bit and really took the wind out of the sails for most Newcastle players, and gave Arsenal that little bit more confidence in possession, which you could definitely see in the possession stats and in terms of the pass completion stats, because they went up astronomically once Odegaard scored that goal, and gave Arsenal, as I said, a bit more confidence in possession and gave them that control of the game and something to hold on to. And look, overall, from a neutral's perspective, it was just a really good game to watch in terms of the fiery aspect from both teams. Both teams really got involved in the fiery side and in the vicious side of the game, and it was just two absolutely quality sides going head to head, to be honest. And if you look at the stats as well, I mean, the possession stats are so close. 54% to Newcastle, 46% to Arsenal, 1.3 expected goals to 1.2 in Newcastle's favour. Just two very good teams who are going to be up there and thereabouts for the next few years, you'd imagine, especially Newcastle, obviously, with the financial backing they've got on their side. And yet, just a really intriguing contest from two sides that I really have enjoyed watching this season. An energy-based Newcastle team who are so efficient in possession against a team in Arsenal who, yes, have energy themselves, but more focused on a possessional style of play and able to break through the lines, which they fully showed today against Newcastle. They played through the lines really well at times. And even though Arsenal, they probably won't go on to win the league this season, I think it's fair to say it's probably City's to lose at this stage, but even still, take nothing away from them, because as much as I had the crack with them a few days ago when they lost to, obviously, Man City, they've had an absolutely brilliant season, Arsenal, and if they win their last 3 games, this just puts it into perspective. If they win their last 3 games this season, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility by any stretch of the imagination, they'll finish the season with 90 points to their name, which absolutely nobody would have predicted at the start of the season. So massive credit to Mikel Arteta, massive credit to Arsenal. The fact they're even in a title race against this Man City team at this point of the season is just props to how far they've come this season and in the last year and a half. And yet, to be fair to them, they've shown in their last 2 games against Chelsea, my club, and Newcastle, that they aren't giving up on this title race easily, and they are going to try and push Man City all the way to the end, and they've shown that they haven't let the event get to them, and yet they haven't collapsed, and they're still going to go right to the wire against Man City in this title race, with 2 very impressive wins over Chelsea and Newcastle away from home in the last week. And yep, Arsenal pass over the torch now to Man City, who do play Everton away from home next weekend, which you'd expect them to get maximum points from. But even still, like I said, at this part of the season where there's a lot to play for at both ends of the table, and Everton, of course, in 19th right now, have a massive relegation dogfight on their hands, it's not going to be an easy test by any stretch of the imagination, and they now know Arsenal's intentions, and that Arsenal aren't going to just completely collapse in these last few games of the season, and that Arsenal will be hot on their tails should they slip up between now and the end of the current campaign. But yeah, I think that is where we are going to leave this video. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, leave a like on the video. It would be absolutely massively appreciated, and also if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely hugely appreciated, because we are looking to hit 3,000 subscribers on this channel as soon as we can possibly get there. So every single one of you that hits that big fat juicy succulent subscribe button, you'd be an absolute king in helping me get there as soon as possible. And yeah, turn on that notification bell while you're at it as well. You might as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, and chat to you later.